Tonight, we journey to the loneliest places in space. Places where silence is not merely the absence of sound, but a presence in itself. Where darkness stretches across distances so vast that light itself grows weary in the crossing. Where time moves at its own pace, unhurried by the concerns of worlds or civilizations. As you settle into comfort, allow yourself to drift with us. There is no urgency here, no destination that cannot wait. We move slowly through the cosmic darkness, and in that slowness, we find peace. The universe is patient. It has been here for nearly 14 billion years, and it will be here for billions more. Tonight, we are merely visitors, passing gently through its vast halls of emptiness. Let your breath slow. Let your thoughts dissolve like morning mist. We are going to places where no human has ever traveled, where perhaps no human will ever go. But in our imagination, we can float there, weightless and serene, among the most isolated corners of existence. The loneliness we seek tonight is not the loneliness of sadness, but the loneliness of contemplation, the solitude of mountain peaks, the silence of fresh snow. In these empty reaches of space, there is a profound peace, a stillness that invites us to rest. So tonight, we journey together into the vast and silent universe. We drift through darkness. We witness wonders that unfold across billions of years, and in witnessing them, perhaps we find a deeper rest. Let us begin. Imagine drifting through an ocean. Not an ocean of water, but an ocean of night itself. You are surrounded by darkness so complete, so total, that it seems to have texture, a softness, a weight. This is the Bootes Void, and it is one of the emptiest places in the known universe. The Bootes Void stretches across 330 million light-years of space. To help you understand this distance, consider that light travels at 186,000 miles every single second. In 1 year, light covers nearly 6 trillion miles. And this void, this emptiness, extends across 330 million of those years of travel. In the vast silence of space, in the heart of this great emptiness, there are almost no galaxies. Where we might expect to find 2,000 galaxies, we find only 60. It is as if some cosmic hand reached into the universe and scooped out a portion of creation, leaving behind only darkness and distance. The void was discovered in 1977. Astronomers were mapping the universe, measuring the distances to galaxies, when they noticed something unusual, a region where their instruments found almost nothing. At first, they thought perhaps their equipment was malfunctioning, but the emptiness was real. The silence was real. Imagine yourself there now, floating in the center of the Bootes Void. You look in every direction and you see almost nothing. A few faint galaxies scattered at the edges, so distant they appear as the faintest whispers of light. But mostly, there is only the deep black of space, the profound quiet of emptiness. In this place, you could travel for millions of years at the speed of light and encounter almost nothing. No stars, no planets, no clouds of gas or dust, just the fabric of space itself, stretching and stretching, empty and serene. Time moves differently here, not in any physical sense, but in how we perceive it. When there is nothing to mark the passage of moments, when there are no stars being born or dying, when there are no planets orbiting or galaxies colliding, time becomes smooth, featureless, like a still pond reflecting nothing but sky. The Bootes Void is not unique. Throughout the universe, there are other voids, other great bubbles of emptiness woven through the cosmic web. Galaxies tend to cluster along filaments, like beads on invisible strings, and between these filaments lie the voids, empty spaces, silent spaces, spaces where the universe whispers its deepest secrets about solitude. Scientists do not fully understand why these voids exist. Perhaps in the early universe, in those first few 100 million years after the Big Bang, matter distributed itself unevenly. Dense regions grew denser as gravity pulled more material together, and the regions in between grew emptier as what little matter existed there was pulled away toward the growing clusters and filaments. Billions of years ago, when the universe was young, these voids were smaller. But the universe is expanding. It has been expanding since its birth, and it continues to expand now, in this very moment. And as it expands, the voids grow larger. The emptiness deepens. The distances lengthen. Imagine the silence in such a place. On Earth, we think of silence as the absence of noise. But true silence is almost impossible to find on our world. There is always something. The whisper of wind, the distant hum of machinery, the beating of our own hearts. But here, in the Bhute's void, there is nothing to make sound. No air to carry vibrations. No events occurring nearby to create disturbance. If you could somehow survive there, floating in the vast emptiness, you would experience a silence so complete it would seem almost sacred. A cathedral made of nothing but space and time. The walls stretching forever, the ceiling beyond reach, the floor non-existent. And yet, even in this emptiness, there is not quite nothing. Even here, there are the occasional wanderers. Perhaps a rogue planet, ejected from its solar system billions of years ago, now tumbling through the void on a journey without end. Perhaps a lonely star, drifting through the darkness, so distant from any neighbors that their light would take millions of years to reach it. These solitary travelers move through the void in eternal silence. They have been moving for billions of years, and they will continue moving for billions more. There is no destination, no purpose but existence itself. They simply are, drifting through the cosmic darkness, alone. Consider the patience required for such a journey, the acceptance. These objects, whether planets or stars or clouds of dust, have no awareness of their solitude. They do not feel lonely. They simply exist, moving through space according to the ancient laws of gravity and momentum, participating in the slow, eternal dance of the universe. We might learn something from their example. This acceptance of being, this movement through emptiness without resistance or complaint, they teach us that existence itself can be enough, that there is a kind of peace in simply continuing, simply being, even in the vastest solitude. The Bhute's void reminds us of how much of the universe is empty space. We think of the cosmos as being filled with stars and galaxies, and in a sense it is. But the distances between these objects are so vast, so incomprehensibly large, that most of the universe is actually nothing but space itself. Emptiness, darkness, silence. And in that emptiness, there is room to breathe, room to expand, room to simply be. As we drift here, suspended in imagination within this great void, we might find our own thoughts growing quieter, our own concerns seeming smaller. Here, in the face of such profound emptiness, what does it matter if we forgot to send an email, or if we said the wrong thing in conversation, or if tomorrow holds uncertainties? Here, there is only the vast and silent now, the eternal present moment of cosmic emptiness. And in that moment, we can rest. The Bhute's void has been here for billions of years. It will be here for billions more. It has witnessed the birth and death of countless stars in the galaxies at its edges. It has seen civilizations rise and fall on planets we will never know existed. And through it all, it remains unchanged, empty, silent, patient. There is something deeply calming about this permanence, about knowing that while everything else changes, while stars are born and die, while galaxies collide and merge, while the universe itself continues its endless expansion, the void remains, a constant, a place of deep stillness at the heart of all the chaos and activity of existence. let us rest here a moment longer. Let the darkness of the void settle around us like a blanket. Let the silence seep into us, quieting the constant chatter of our minds. Here, in the emptiest place we can imagine, we are paradoxically filled. Filled with peace, filled with stillness, filled with the profound calm of vast and silent space. As we drift further into our journey, we carry this stillness with us, the memory of emptiness, the comfort of knowing that somewhere in the universe there exists a place where almost nothing happens, where time passes unmarked, where silence reigns eternal. The Bootes void waits for us should we ever need to return. It is patient. It has all the time in the universe. But let us now turn our attention from the great voids between galaxies to something smaller, yet no less lonely. In the vast silence of space, there are travelers who journey alone, unbound by any star's gravity, drifting through the cosmic darkness on paths that may never end. These are the rogue planets, and their story is one of solitude and silent wandering. In the vast silence of space, there are worlds that belong to no sun, planets that orbit no star. They drift alone through the darkness, unbound and solitary, traveling through the galaxy on journeys that may last forever. These are the rogue planets, and they are far more common than we once believed. Imagine a world. Perhaps it is roughly the size of Earth, or perhaps it is larger, a gas giant like Jupiter. Billions of years ago, this world formed in a solar system much like our own. It orbited a star. It had neighboring planets. It was part of a celestial family. But something happened. Perhaps two planets came too close to each other, their gravitational fields interacting in just the right way to fling one of them out into space. Perhaps the star itself had a close encounter with another star, and in the gravitational chaos that followed, several planets were ejected from their orbits. Perhaps, in the early violence of the solar system's formation, when planets were still finding their stable orbits, this world was simply pushed too hard, accelerated beyond escape velocity, and sent tumbling out into the galaxy. Whatever the reason, the planet was cast out. It broke free from its star's gravity and began a new existence, a solitary existence, a life of drifting through the cosmic darkness, alone. Time moves differently here, on a rogue planet. There is no day or night, because there is no sun to rise or set. There are no seasons, because there is no orbit to create them. There is only the endless now of drifting through space, moving through the galaxy at thousands of miles per hour, yet seeming to stand still in the immensity of cosmic distances. The surface of such a planet would be cold beyond imagining. Without a sun's warmth, temperatures would plunge to near absolute zero. Any atmosphere would freeze and fall to the surface as snow. Any oceans would become ice miles deep. The world would be locked in an eternal winter, a darkness that would never end. And yet, there is a strange beauty in this frozen solitude. Imagine standing on the surface of such a world, if you could somehow survive there. Above you, the sky would be filled with stars. Without any nearby sun to wash out the darkness, the stars would shine with a clarity and brightness impossible to see from Earth. The Milky Way would stretch across the sky like a river of light, and you would see it as our ancestors once did, before electric lights obscured our view of the heavens. You would be alone, profoundly alone, but surrounded by the beauty of the universe itself. Every direction you looked, you would see the distant fires of suns that other worlds orbit. Suns that this rogue planet once knew, billions of years ago, before it was cast out into the darkness. Scientists estimate that there may be billions of rogue planets in our galaxy alone. Perhaps even more rogue planets than there are stars. They drift between the solar systems, mostly invisible, detectable only by the faint gravitational effects they have on light passing nearby, or by the dim heat they still retain from their formation billions of years ago. Most of these worlds will wander the galaxy forever. Their paths are random, determined by the exact circumstances of their ejection and the gravitational influences they encountered along the way. Some may eventually, after millions or billions of years, pass close enough to another star to be captured by its gravity, finding a new home, a new sun to orbit. But most will simply continue their wandering, alone in the darkness, for as long as the galaxy exists. Consider the loneliness of such a journey. To be a world that once knew the warmth of a sun, that once had a place in an ordered system, now drifting through the void with no destination. There is something deeply melancholy about it, and yet also something oddly peaceful. The rogue planet is free. It is bound to nothing. It goes where the laws of physics take it, drifting on currents of gravity, moving through the galaxy without purpose or plan. And perhaps there is a kind of contentment in that, an acceptance of what is, rather than a longing for what was. Beneath the frozen surface of some of these rogue planets, there might be life. This seems impossible at first consideration. Without sunlight, how could life exist? But on Earth, we have discovered life in the deepest, darkest parts of the ocean, where sunlight never reaches. These organisms derive their energy not from the sun, but from heat venting from the Earth's core, and from chemical reactions in the rocks themselves. A rogue planet might harbor similar life deep beneath its frozen surface. If the planet is large enough, it retains heat from its formation for billions of years. This heat could keep a subsurface ocean liquid, warmed from below by the planet's core. And in that ocean, in the darkness beneath miles of ice, life might exist. Life that has never known starlight. Life that exists in utter solitude, unaware that anywhere else in the universe, other forms of life look up at stars and wonder. Imagine such a form of life. What would it make of its existence? Living in eternal darkness, in an ocean sealed beneath ice, on a world that drifts alone through space. It would know nothing of the universe beyond its small domain. It would have no concept of stars or galaxies, or the vast distances between worlds. Its entire existence would be the warm, dark water of its ocean, and perhaps that would be enough. There is something humbling about this possibility, that life might exist in such isolation, that consciousness might arise in places cut off entirely from the rest of the universe. It reminds us that existence takes many forms, and that what seems impossible to us might be, in other circumstances, the only reality that is known. As we drift alongside these rogue planets in our imagination, we might reflect on our own lives. We too sometimes feel cast adrift, separated from where we thought we belonged, traveling through uncertain territory toward unknown destinations. And like the rogue planets, we might find that there is a freedom in this drifting, that when we are no longer bound by expectations or orbits we think we should follow, we can move in new directions, see new things, become something we never imagined. The rogue planets teach us about acceptance and patience. They have been drifting for billions of years, and they will drift for billions more. They do not struggle against their fate. They do not yearn for a sun to orbit. They simply exist, moving through space, silent and alone. And in that simplicity, there is a kind of grace. Consider the distances these planets travel. In a million years, a rogue planet moving at typical galactic speeds might cross a significant portion of the galaxy. In a billion years, it might circle the entire galactic center multiple times. And yet, in all that traveling, it might never come close to another star. The galaxy is vast, and the spaces between stars are vaster still. A rogue planet could wander for the entire lifetime of the universe and never find a new home. And yet, it continues. It does not stop. It does not despair. It simply is, moving through the darkness, existing in the vast silence of space, a world unto itself. There is poetry in this endless journey, a kind of cosmic wandering that mirrors the journeys we all take through our own lives. We move forward, not always knowing where we are going, sometimes feeling isolated and alone, but continuing nonetheless, because continuing is what we do. because existence itself demands it. Some of these rogue planets may carry with them the remnants of their former lives. Perhaps they once had moons, and those moons still orbit them, small companions in the darkness. Perhaps they have rings of ice and rock, remnants of whatever catastrophe ejected them from their solar system. These planets are not completely alone, then. They carry fragments of their past with them, memories written in ice and stone. We too carry our pasts with us as we journey through life. The experiences that shaped us, the relationships that changed us, the moments of joy and sorrow that made us who we are. Like the rogue planets, we are shaped by where we came from, even as we move toward places unknown. The universe is patient with these wandering worlds. It does not rush them. It does not demand they arrive anywhere. They move at their own pace, following their own paths, and the universe accommodates them, making room in its vastness for their solitary journeys. Let us take comfort in that. The universe has room for us too. Room for our wandering, our searching, our moments of feeling lost and alone. And like the rogue planets, we might find that in our wandering, we discover things we would never have known if we had stayed in orbit around what was familiar. As we imagine ourselves drifting alongside a rogue planet, feel the slowness of its journey, the endless patience of its movement through space. There is no hurry here, no deadline to meet, no destination that must be reached. There is only the eternal present of moving through darkness, existing in silence, being a world alone in the cosmos. And in that eternal present, there is peace. The rogue planets will continue their journeys long after we are gone, long after our sun has died and our Earth has been consumed. They will still be drifting through the galaxy, silent and solitary, witnesses to the deep time of the universe. They remind us that existence continues, that the cosmos goes on, that there is something larger and more enduring than our brief lives and temporary concerns. Rest now in that knowledge. Let the journey of the rogue planets wash over you like a gentle tide. Feel yourself drifting with them, unbound and free, moving through the vast silence of space, at peace with the loneliness, at peace with the darkness, at peace with the endless wandering through the cosmic night. From worlds that wander alone, we turn our gaze outward, farther than any planet could travel in billions of years of drifting. We look toward the edge of what we can see, toward the most distant galaxies ever observed, toward light that has traveled for so long that when it began its journey, the universe itself was young. Let us drift toward these ancient beacons in the darkness, these glimpses of cosmic dawn. In the vast silence of space, there are galaxies so distant that the light we see from them tonight began its journey when the universe was barely 400 million years old. The light has been traveling toward us for over 13 billion years, crossing distances so vast that numbers lose their meaning and become merely symbols for the incomprehensible. These galaxies are the most isolated objects we can observe. Not isolated in the sense that they are alone in their region of space, but isolated in time. They exist, or existed, in a universe so young, so different from our own, that to observe them is to look back toward the very beginning of everything. Imagine the universe as it was then, 13 billion years ago. The Big Bang had occurred only 400 million years earlier. For cosmic timescales, this is the blink of an eye. For human timescales, it is still incomprehensibly long. 400 million years is longer than complex life has existed on Earth. It is enough time for continents to drift across entire hemispheres. But in the life of a universe, it is merely the first breath after birth. In that young universe, the first stars were just beginning to form. Vast clouds of hydrogen and helium, the only elements created in the Big Bang, were collapsing under their own gravity, growing denser and hotter until nuclear fusion ignited in their cores. These first stars were massive, hundreds of times the size of our sun, and they burned with incredible intensity. But they burned briefly. After only a few million years, they exhausted their fuel and exploded as supernovae, scattering heavier elements across space. Elements that would eventually form new stars, planets, and, in time, us. The distant galaxies we observe now contain those early stars, or at least the light from them. We see these galaxies not as they are today, but as they were in that ancient era. The light that left them 13 billion years ago is only now reaching our telescopes, carrying information about a time when the universe was radically different from what we know. To observe these galaxies is to engage in a kind of cosmic archaeology. We are studying the past, piecing together the early history of the universe from the faint light that has traveled across space and time to reach us. Each photon that enters our telescopes has been on a journey lasting longer than the Earth has existed. It has crossed distances so vast that if you could somehow travel at the speed of light, it would take you 13 billion years to reach the place from which it came. And yet, even at the speed of light, you would never reach the galaxy as it was when that light was emitted. Because the universe is expanding, and has been expanding throughout the entire 13 billion years that light has been traveling toward us, the galaxy we see in the distant past is now much farther away than 13 billion light-years. It may be more than 30 billion light-years distant, carried away by the expansion of space itself. This is the profound isolation of distance and time combined. These galaxies exist in a realm we can observe, but never visit. We can study them, learn from them, contemplate their existence, but we can never go there. We are separated not just by distance, but by the expansion of the universe itself, which is carrying them away from us faster than light can travel. Consider what this means for the possibility of contact or communication. If we could somehow send a message to one of these distant galaxies, traveling at the speed of light, it would take billions of years to arrive. And by the time it arrived, the galaxy would have changed beyond recognition. The stars we observe in it today would long since have died. New generations of stars would have been born and died in turn. The configuration of matter, the structure of the galaxy itself, would be completely different. And even if our message somehow arrived, and even if there were beings there to receive it, any reply they sent would take billions of years to return to us. By the time we received their response, our sun might well have died, our Earth become uninhabitable, our species long extinct, or evolved into something we would not recognize. This is the loneliness of cosmic distances. We are isolated, not just by space, but by time itself. The universe is too large, too old, too separated by its own expansion for even light to bridge the gaps between its most distant inhabitants in any meaningful way. And yet, we try. We build telescopes, we study the distant light, we piece together the history of the universe from these ancient messages. In doing so, we connect across time, if not across space. We learn about the universe as it was, and in learning, we come to understand our place in the grand story of cosmic evolution. The most distant galaxy we have observed, as of our current knowledge, has been designated by a catalog number, a string of letters and numbers that gives no hint of the profound isolation it represents. This galaxy existed when the universe was only a few % of its current age. It was a time before most of the familiar structures of the cosmos had formed, before galaxies had collided and merged to create the great spiral and elliptical galaxies we see in the more recent universe, before heavy elements had been dispersed widely enough to form rocky planets like Earth. In the vast silence of space, this distant galaxy burns with the light of young, hot stars. Or rather, it burned with that light 13 billion years ago. What it looks like now, we cannot know. We can only see its past. And its past is one of isolation so profound that it staggers the imagination. Imagine standing on a planet in that distant galaxy 13 billion years ago. You look up at the night sky and you see almost nothing. There are nearby galaxies, other young collections of stars forming in that ancient universe, but the sky is mostly dark, because most of the stars that will eventually form have not yet been born. The universe is emptier, simpler, younger. If you could somehow know about our galaxy, the Milky Way, you might look in its direction and see nothing at all. The Milky Way does not yet exist in any form you would recognize. Perhaps there are clouds of gas there that will someday coalesce into our galaxy, but for now, there is only darkness and distance. You are isolated not just in space, but in time. You exist at the dawn of the universe, in a cosmos that is still finding its form, still learning to create the rich structures and complex chemistry that will eventually lead to planets and life and consciousness. You are among the first generations of stars, burning brightly in the young darkness, creating the elements that future generations will use to build everything from planets to people. There is something profound about being first, about existing at the beginning. These distant galaxies represent the pioneers of cosmic structure, the first attempts of gravity and matter to create order from the relatively smooth distribution of material that emerged from the Big Bang. They were not perfect. Many of these early galaxies were chaotic, irregular in shape, prone to mergers and collisions. They were the experiments, the prototypes, the first drafts in the universe's ongoing process of creating galaxies. But they were necessary. Without them, without these first structures forming and the first stars creating heavy elements, nothing that came after would have been possible. We owe our existence to these ancient, distant galaxies. The atoms in our bodies were forged in stars much like the ones that filled these early galaxies. The carbon in our DNA, the calcium in our bones, the iron in our blood, all of these elements were created in the nuclear furnaces of ancient stars, stars that may have existed in galaxies like the ones we now observe at the edge of the visible universe. We are connected, then, across space and time to these most isolated objects. We are made of the same substance, governed by the same laws of physics, participants in the same cosmic story. The distance between us is immense, the time that separates us is vast, but the connection remains. As we contemplate these distant galaxies, we might feel our own concerns growing smaller. What does it matter, our daily worries and stresses, when compared to the scale of cosmic time and distance? What significance do our brief lives hold in a universe billions of years old, billions of light years across? And yet, there is comfort here too. We are part of something larger. Our atoms have been on a journey lasting billions of years, from the cores of ancient stars to the planets where they assembled into complex molecules, and eventually into living things, into us. We are the universe experiencing itself, contemplating its own past, looking back toward its own origins. The distant galaxies remind us of this. They show us where we came from, not in the literal sense that our particular atoms came from those particular galaxies, but in the broader sense that they represent the conditions and processes that made everything, including us, possible. In the vast silence of space, separated by distances and times so vast they defy comprehension, we nonetheless look at these ancient galaxies and recognize something familiar. The same forces that shaped them shape us. The same physics that governed their formation governs our existence. We are kin, in the deepest sense, though we are separated by nearly the entire age and breadth of the universe. Let us rest in this connection. Let the image of these distant galaxies fill our minds. Ancient light, traveling across space and time, carrying information about the dawn of everything. We receive this light, we study it, we learn from it, and in doing so, we participate in the universe's ongoing process of coming to understand itself. The journey of that light has been long, longer than we can truly comprehend. It has crossed distances that dwarf anything in human experience. It has traveled through expanding space, through regions that have never known life or consciousness, through the vast and silent darkness between galaxies, faithful to its nature, always moving at the speed of light, never deviating, never stopping, until finally, after 13 billion years, it reaches a telescope on a small planet circling an ordinary star in an unremarkable galaxy, and its information is recorded, studied, contemplated by beings who exist in a universe radically different from the one it left behind. This is the story of isolation and connection combined. The light is isolated, traveling alone through space for billions of years. But when it arrives, when it reaches us, it creates a connection across the vastest distances imaginable. It allows us to see and know things that would otherwise be forever hidden from us. We are fortunate to live in an age when we can observe these distant galaxies. We have built instruments sensitive enough to detect light that has traveled for most of the age of the universe. We have developed theories and models that allow us to interpret what that light tells us. We can, in a very real sense, look back toward the beginning of time itself. And in looking back, we learn about where we are going. The universe has been evolving for 13 billion years, from simple to complex, from smooth to structured, from hot to cool. By observing its early stages, we can better understand the processes that have shaped it, and that continue to shape it even now. The distant galaxies will continue to move away from us, carried by the expansion of space. The light from even more distant galaxies, galaxies we cannot yet see, is still traveling toward us, and will eventually arrive, allowing us to see even further back in time, even closer to the Big Bang itself. But for now, we rest with these most distant objects we can currently observe. We contemplate their isolation, separated from us by space and time. We acknowledge our connection to them through the shared substance and laws that govern all things. And we let their ancient light wash over us, 13 billion years in the making, carrying messages from the dawn of everything. In the vast silence of space, across distances that defy comprehension, these galaxies shine for us. They have been shining for billions of years, and they will continue to shine long after we are gone. They are witnesses to the deep time of the universe, and we are privileged to witness them in turn. Rest now in the contemplation of this. Let the image of distant galaxies fill your mind. Ancient structures in a young universe, burning with the light of first-generation stars, creating the elements that would eventually allow planets and life to form. They are isolated by distance and time, and yet they reach across both to connect with us, to teach us, to remind us of our place in the grand cosmic story. Drift now with this thought. Let it carry you deeper into rest. The universe is vast, and we are small, but we are connected to it all, from the most distant galaxies to the atoms in our own bodies. We are part of the pattern, part of the process, part of the endless unfolding of matter and energy across space and time. And in that realization, there is peace. From individual distant galaxies, we now expand our view to see the largest structures in the universe, the cosmic web of filaments and clusters, and between them, the great voids, vast regions of emptiness that dwarf even the Boots void we explored earlier. Let us drift into these spaces between the galaxy superclusters, where the universe reveals its grandest architecture and its deepest silences. In the vast silence of space, galaxies are not distributed randomly. They are organized into a structure so large, so intricate, that it can only be seen when we step back and observe billions of light years of space at once. This structure is called the cosmic web, and it is one of the most beautiful and mysterious patterns in nature. Imagine a vast network stretching across the entire observable universe. Filaments of galaxies, like strands in a spider's web, connecting dense clusters and superclusters of galaxies. Between these filaments lie the voids, immense bubbles of near emptiness, each one hundreds of millions of light years across. The universe, at its largest scales, resembles a sponge or foam, with matter concentrated on the surfaces and emptiness filling the bulk of space. Tonight, we drift into these cosmic voids, the great spaces between the superclusters. These are not merely empty regions, but rather they define the structure of the universe itself. They are as important as the filaments and clusters, perhaps more so, because they represent what the universe is mostly made of: space itself. The cosmic web formed in the early universe, in those first few 100 million years after the Big Bang. Tiny variations in the density of matter, variations that existed from the moment of creation, grew over time under the influence of gravity. Slightly denser regions attracted more matter, becoming denser still. Slightly less dense regions had their matter pulled away toward the growing dense regions, becoming emptier. Over billions of years, this process created the structure we see today. Matter accumulated along lines determined by the gravitational field of the universe, creating the filaments. Where filaments intersected, massive clusters of galaxies formed. And in the regions where matter was sparse to begin with, great voids opened up, growing larger as the universe expanded and as more matter was pulled away toward the filaments and clusters. These voids are not completely empty. Within them, we find the occasional galaxy, scattered and isolated. But compared to the dense regions of the cosmic web, compared to the galaxy clusters where hundreds or thousands of galaxies crowd together, the voids are profoundly empty, desolate, silent. Imagine yourself in one of these cosmic voids. You are not in the Bootes void now, but in something even larger, one of the voids between superclusters. The nearest galaxies are hundreds of millions of light-years away in any direction. Even at the speed of light, it would take you hundreds of millions of years to reach the edge of this emptiness. You look around, and the universe appears almost featureless. A few dim, distant galaxies scattered at the very edges of visibility. But mostly, there is only darkness. The background darkness of space itself, punctuated by stars that are too distant to form recognizable patterns or constellations. Time moves differently here, not physically, but perceptually. When there is nothing to mark its passage, when no events occur, when nothing changes from 1 billion years to the next, time becomes abstract, theoretical. A dimension that exists but has no markers, no milestones, nothing to distinguish one moment from another. In the vast silence of space, in the heart of these cosmic voids, the universe is at its most serene. Nothing happens here. Nothing has happened here for billions of years. Nothing will happen here for billions of years to come. There is only the slow expansion of space itself, carrying the distant galaxies ever farther apart, deepening the silence, widening the emptiness. There is a profound peace in such places, a stillness that goes beyond mere quiet. It is the stillness of a place where time itself seems to pause, where the frantic activity of the universe, stars being born and dying, galaxies colliding, planets forming, all of that seems impossibly distant. Here, there is only the gentle breathing of space as it expands. Scientists have studied these voids carefully, mapping their boundaries, measuring their emptiness. They have found that the voids are not perfectly spherical, but rather irregular in shape, pressed on all sides by the filaments and walls of galaxies that surround them. The voids are defined by what they are not, by the absence of the structures that surround them. This is a curious thing to contemplate. These voids, which make up most of the volume of the universe, are defined entirely by absence. They are shaped by what is not there. And yet, they are real. They exist. They have shape and size and position. They are as much a part of the cosmic web as the filaments and clusters, perhaps more fundamental, because they represent the baseline state of the universe, mostly empty space. Consider what it means to be defined by absence. In our own lives, we often define ourselves by what we have, what we do, what we possess or achieve. But perhaps there is wisdom in the cosmic voids. Perhaps we are also shaped by what we are not, by the empty spaces in our lives, by the pauses between activities, by the silence between words. The voids teach us that emptiness is not nothing. It is a presence of its own kind. It has shape and meaning. It provides context for everything else. Without the voids, the cosmic web would not be a web at all. Without emptiness, there can be no understanding of fullness. As we drift here, in imagination, through one of these immense voids, we might reflect on the emptiness in our own experience. The moments of quiet, the spaces between thoughts, the pauses in conversation. These are not absences to be filled or avoided, but rather essential components of existence. They provide shape and meaning to everything else. The universe understood this from the beginning. In creating structure, it also created emptiness. In forming galaxies and clusters, it also formed voids. Both are necessary. Both are beautiful in their own way. Imagine the view from a galaxy at the edge of one of these voids. You would see your neighboring galaxies strung along the filament with you, a river of light stretching across the sky. But in the other direction, looking into the void, you would see almost nothing. A vast darkness stretching away, apparently endless. It would be as if your galaxy stood at the edge of creation itself, at the boundary between something and nothing. Beings living in such a galaxy, if they developed astronomy and telescopes, would have a profoundly different view of the universe than we do. They might assume the universe is mostly full of galaxies, because in most directions they look, they see their filament stretching away, crowded with neighboring galaxies. Only in one direction, looking into the void, would they see the truth, that most of the universe is empty space. We, in our Milky Way galaxy, are fortunate. We reside within a region of moderate density, part of a structure called the Laniakea supercluster. We are not at the edge of a great void, nor are we in the densest part of a major cluster. We occupy a middle position, from which we can observe both the crowded regions and the empty ones, both the filaments and the voids. This gives us perspective. We can see the full structure of the cosmic web. We can understand that the universe is both full and empty, both crowded and lonely, both connected and isolated. This perspective is a gift, though we rarely think of it as such. The cosmic voids will continue to grow. As the universe expands, as dark energy pushes the fabric of space to stretch ever faster, the voids will widen. The filaments will remain bound together by gravity, but the spaces between them will increase. In the distant future, trillions of years from now, the voids will be even vaster than they are today. The isolation between galaxy clusters will be even more profound. Eventually, in the unimaginably distant future, the expansion of the universe may carry galaxy clusters so far apart that light from one will never reach another. Each cluster will be isolated in its own bubble of observable universe, surrounded by emptiness so vast that nothing beyond it can ever be seen or known. The cosmic voids will have won, in a sense, swallowing everything in darkness and distance. But that is trillions of years away. For now, the cosmic web still exists. The filaments still connect. Light still travels from one cluster to another. The voids are vast, but they are not yet infinite. There is still connection across the emptiness, still the possibility of observation and understanding. Let us rest here, in this contemplation of vast emptiness. In the heart of a cosmic void, where nothing has happened for billions of years, where silence reigns supreme, where the darkness is so complete it becomes a presence of its own. Here, we can release our thoughts. We can let go of the constant activity of our minds. We can simply be, like the void itself, existing without purpose or agenda, present without needing to do or become anything other than what we are. The void asks nothing of us. It makes no demands. It simply is, vast and silent and empty, and in its presence we can find a mirror for the emptiness within ourselves, the quiet spaces in our consciousness, the moments between thoughts, the stillness that underlies all the activity of our lives. Breathe slowly now. Imagine the vast emptiness around you, hundreds of millions of light years in every direction. Nothing but space itself. No events, no changes, no disturbances. Only the gentle, almost imperceptible expansion of space, carrying the distant galaxies ever farther away. In this emptiness, there is no past or future. There is only the eternal now, the moment stretching endlessly in all directions, filled with nothing but itself. Time and space become one, both aspects of the same underlying reality, both containers for the nothing that is somehow also everything. The ancient mystics understood this paradox, that emptiness and fullness are not opposites but complements, that in the void we find not absence but presence, that silence is not the lack of sound but a sound of its own kind. The cosmic voids teach us this truth at the largest possible scale. They show us that the universe itself is built on emptiness, that space itself is the fundamental thing, and matter is merely a temporary arrangement, a brief disturbance in the eternal calm. As we drift here, let this lesson sink deep into your being. Let the vast silence of the cosmic void wash over you like a gentle tide. Feel yourself becoming part of the emptiness, not in a frightening way, but in a peaceful one. You are made of space, in a sense. The atoms in your body are mostly empty space, with tiny particles of matter separated by distances that, at their scale, are as vast as the distances between stars. You are a microcosm of the cosmic void, mostly space, with a few particles of matter arranged in temporary patterns. And those particles themselves are made of even smaller particles, separated by even more emptiness. At every scale, from the cosmic to the quantum, emptiness predominates. Space is the foundation of everything. Rest in this knowledge. Let it bring you peace. You are part of the pattern. You are a temporary expression of the universe's tendency to create structure within emptiness. You are both the void and what occupies it, both the silence and the sound, both the emptiness and the fullness. The cosmic voids have no awareness of their own existence. They do not contemplate their emptiness or question their purpose. They simply are, and in that simple being, they fulfill their role in the cosmic web. They provide the space that allows structure to exist. They are the canvas on which the universe paints its galaxies and stars. Perhaps we can learn from their example, to simply be, to exist without constant questioning or striving, to accept our place in the pattern, whether that place is full or empty, crowded or lonely, connected or isolated. To recognize that all of these states are temporary, that we flow between them like water finding its level, and that each has its own beauty and purpose. The universe does not judge the voids as lesser than the galaxy clusters. It does not value the filaments more than the empty spaces. All are part of the same structure, all necessary for the cosmic web to exist. And so too with our own experiences. The difficult times and the joyful ones, the lonely periods and the connected ones, the empty moments and the full ones, all are part of the pattern, all necessary for the web of our lives to have meaning and shape. In the vast silence of space, in the heart of a cosmic void larger than we can comprehend, we find this truth reflected back to us. Emptiness is not to be feared or avoided. It is to be accepted, even embraced, as an essential part of existence. Let yourself sink deeper into this restful state. Imagine floating in the center of the void, surrounded by darkness and silence, with no sense of up or down, no gravity pulling you in any direction, no destination calling you forward. You are simply here, in the eternal now of the cosmic void, at peace with the emptiness, at peace with yourself. The void will be here long after you are gone, long after your thoughts have ceased and your consciousness has returned to whatever it came from. The void was here before you were born, and it will be here after you die. It has witnessed the entire history of the universe from its perspective of timeless silence, and it will witness everything that is yet to come. There is comfort in this permanence, in knowing that some things endure beyond our brief lives, that the universe continues its vast, slow dance of expansion and evolution, indifferent to our individual concerns, but providing the stage on which all our concerns play out. You are a temporary arrangement of matter within the void, but the void itself, the space you occupy, is eternal. And when your particular arrangement dissolves, the space will remain, ready to be occupied by new arrangements, new patterns, new temporary expressions of matter and energy. This is not sad. It is simply the way of things. The pattern of the universe, form arising from emptiness, existing for a time, then returning to emptiness again, to be replaced by new forms. The cosmic voids show us this pattern at the largest scale. They are the emptiness from which structure emerges and to which it eventually returns. Rest now in the void. Let its silence enfold you. Let its darkness become a blanket under which you can sleep peacefully. There is nothing to do here, nowhere to go, no one to be. There is only the vast, gentle emptiness and your small presence within it, drifting slowly, softly toward sleep. The cosmic voids are patient. They have all the time in the universe, and so do you in this moment. There is no rush, no urgency, only the slow, steady drift through emptiness, the gentle expansion of space carrying you toward rest. As we drift further in our journey through the loneliest places in space, let us now descend from the vast cosmic voids to something smaller, yet equally isolated. Individual stars that wander alone through the darkness between galaxies, having been torn from their homes by gravitational forces beyond their control. These are the isolated neutron stars, the remnants of massive stars that died long ago, now spinning silently in the deep emptiness between the galaxies. In the vast silence of space, there are objects so dense that a teaspoon of their matter would weigh as much as a mountain. These are neutron stars, the collapsed cores of massive stars that exploded as supernovae, and some of them wander alone through the deep space between galaxies, isolated lighthouses spinning in the darkness, remnants of stellar catastrophes that occurred billions of years ago. A neutron star is born in violence. When a massive star exhausts its nuclear fuel, its core collapses in a fraction of a second. The outer layers rebound and explode outward in a supernova, one of the brightest events in the universe. But the core continues to collapse, compressing matter to densities found nowhere else in nature. Protons and electrons are crushed together, forming neutrons, and what remains is a ball of neutrons only 20 kilometers across, but containing more mass than our entire sun. Imagine such an object. A sphere about the size of a large city, but containing the mass of a star. The gravity at its surface is hundreds of billions of times stronger than Earth's gravity. The magnetic field surrounding it can be trillions of times stronger than any magnetic field produced by human technology. And it spins, often rotating hundreds of times per second, a legacy of the conservation of angular momentum from the much larger star that collapsed to form it. Most neutron stars reside in the galaxies where they were born. They orbit the galactic center along with other stars, part of the stellar population. But some neutron stars, through various mechanisms, are ejected from their galaxies. They are flung into the intergalactic void, into the deep space between galaxies, where they will wander alone for billions of years, or perhaps forever. How does a neutron star come to be isolated in this way? Sometimes, the supernova explosion itself is asymmetric, creating a kick that sends the neutron star flying through space at high speed. If this kick is strong enough, the neutron star can exceed the escape velocity of its galaxy and leave entirely, becoming a traveler in the intergalactic void. Other times, a neutron star in a binary system, orbiting another star, might be flung away when its companion explodes as a supernova. The sudden loss of mass from the companion can unbind the orbit, sending the neutron star careening into space. Whatever the mechanism, the result is the same. A neutron star alone in the deep darkness between galaxies, far from any other star, any planet, any structure of matter. It is one of the loneliest objects imaginable, a remnant of catastrophic death spinning endlessly in the void. Many neutron stars are pulsars. As they spin, they emit beams of electromagnetic radiation from their magnetic poles, like a lighthouse beam sweeping across the sea. If one of these beams happens to point toward Earth as the neutron star rotates, we detect regular pulses of radio waves, sometimes hundreds of pulses per second, with a regularity so precise that when pulsars were first discovered, some scientists wondered if they might be signals from alien civilizations. But they are entirely natural phenomena. The spinning neutron star, with its intense magnetic field, accelerates particles near its surface to incredible speeds. These particles emit radiation, and as the star spins, this radiation sweeps across space like a beam. If we happen to lie in the path of that beam, we see it as a pulse, appearing and disappearing with metronomic precision as the neutron star rotates. Imagine an isolated neutron star in deep intergalactic space, a pulsar spinning silently in the darkness. Its beam sweeps across the void, illuminating nothing. There are no nearby objects to reflect its light, no planets orbit it. Any planets that once existed were destroyed in the supernova. No companion stars shine nearby. The pulsar is alone, utterly alone, its lighthouse beam sweeping endlessly across empty space. In the vast silence of space, this seems like the ultimate futility. A lighthouse where there are no ships, no shores, no need for warning or guidance. The pulsar spins and pulses, not out of purpose, but simply because physics demands it. It continues to do what it does because there is no reason to stop, no friction in space to slow it down, no external force to change its behavior. And yet, there is something beautiful in this. The pulsar asks for no audience. It requires no purpose beyond its own existence. It simply is, spinning and pulsing, faithful to its nature, whether anyone observes it or not. It is the ultimate example of being for its own sake, of existing without needing validation or meaning from any external source. These isolated neutron stars are slowly dying, in a sense, though the process takes billions of years. They were born hot, heated by the violence of their creation, and they gradually cool, radiating their heat away into space. Their rotation also slowly decreases as they lose energy through their magnetic fields and radiation. Over billions of years, they spin more and more slowly, pulse less and less frequently, until eventually they may stop pulsing altogether, becoming dark, invisible, silent remnants wandering through space undetectable. But that is billions of years away. For now, the isolated neutron stars continue their spinning, continue their pulsing, alone in the intergalactic darkness. Consider what it would be like to approach such an object, if you could somehow survive the journey and the intense gravitational and magnetic fields. As you drew near, you would see a small, incredibly bright point of light rotating rapidly. The surface of the neutron star would be blindingly hot, millions of degrees, though it would be cooling slowly over cosmic time. If you could somehow stand on its surface, though you would be crushed instantly by gravity billions of times stronger than Earth's, you would experience something unlike anything else in the universe. Time would pass more slowly for you than for the rest of the universe, due to the intense gravitational field. The horizon would be strange and distorted, the intense gravity bending light around the curve of the neutron star so dramatically that you could see more than half of its surface at once. You would weigh billions of times more than you do on Earth. Your body would be compressed, flattened by gravity. The magnetic field would be so strong that it would affect the very atoms of your being, distorting their electron clouds, changing their chemistry. Nothing as complex as a living organism could survive in such an environment. Life as we know it requires gentler conditions than those found near a neutron star. But in imagination, we can visit. We can contemplate these extreme objects from the safety of distance, marveling at the conditions physics allows, the strange and wonderful states of matter that exist in the universe beyond our everyday experience. The isolated neutron stars teach us about endings and transformations. They were once massive stars, burning bright, fusing hydrogen into helium and helium into heavier elements, living lives of nuclear fire lasting millions of years. Then came the ending, the supernova, the violent death that would seem to be the end of the story. But it was not the end. It was a transformation. The star died, but something remained. Something new, something strange, something that would continue to exist for billions of years, perhaps longer than the original star lived. The neutron star is both an ending and a beginning, a death and a birth, a conclusion and a continuation. In our own lives, we experience transformations that feel like endings, loss, change, the death of old versions of ourselves. These can be painful, violent even, like the supernova that creates a neutron star. But they are also births of something new. We are changed by our experiences, compressed and transformed, becoming something different from what we were, but still existing, still continuing. The isolated neutron star embodies this truth. It is the remnant of catastrophe, wandering alone through space, far from home, separated from everything it once knew. And yet it continues. It spins, it pulses, it exists. Not in the way it once did, but in a new way, adapted to new circumstances, faithful to the new nature it has been given. There is resilience in this, a kind of cosmic stubbornness. The neutron star does not cease to exist because its circumstances have become difficult. It does not vanish simply because it is alone. It continues because continuing is what matter does, what energy does, what existence itself demands. In the vast silence of space, the isolated neutron star spins on. Around it, there is only darkness and emptiness. The nearest galaxy may be millions of light years away, the nearest star even farther. The neutron star's lighthouse beam sweeps across the void, touching nothing, illuminating nothing, received by no one. And yet it continues, pulse after pulse, rotation after rotation, second after second, minute after minute, year after year, millennium after millennium, eon after eon. The neutron star is patient. It has all the time in the universe. It does not tire. It does not despair. It simply is, spinning in the darkness, a testimony to persistence and endurance. Let us take comfort from this example. When we feel isolated, when we feel that our efforts are unobserved, when we wonder if what we do matters, we can remember the isolated neutron star. It continues without audience or purpose or meaning beyond its own existence, and its continuation is enough. We do not need to be seen to be real. We do not need to be understood to have value. We do not need company to justify our existence. We can simply be, like the neutron star, faithful to our nature, continuing because continuing is what we do. The magnetic field of a neutron star is extraordinary. It can be trillions of times stronger than Earth's magnetic field. This field shapes the space around the neutron star, channeling particles, creating beams of radiation, organizing the chaos of the surrounding space into patterns. We, too, create fields around ourselves. Not magnetic fields, but fields of influence nonetheless. The way we affect the space around us, the people we encounter, the environment we inhabit. Even in isolation, even when we feel alone, we have an effect on our surroundings, however subtle. The neutron star's field extends far beyond its tiny physical body. In a similar way, our influence extends beyond our physical presence. The words we speak, the things we create, the thoughts we think, all of these ripple outward, affecting the world in ways we may never fully understand or observe. As the neutron star spins, it slowly loses energy. Its rotation decreases over time, though the change is so gradual that it might take millions of years to be noticeable. Eventually, in the distant future, the neutron star will spin so slowly that it no longer generates the beams of radiation that make it a pulsar. It will go dark, at least in the wavelengths we can detect. It will become a black widow, astronomers sometimes call them. Dark, dense, invisible, wandering through space undetectable. But it will still exist, still have mass, still warp space-time around it with its gravity, still be there, even if we can no longer see it. Existence does not depend on observation. The universe is full of things that exist unobserved, undetected, unknown, and they are no less real for their obscurity. In the vast silence of space, in the deep darkness between galaxies, the isolated neutron stars continue their vigils. They spin, they pulse, they slowly cool and slow down. They are patient witnesses to the passage of cosmic time, remembering in their very structure the violent events that created them, carrying forward into the future the legacy of stars that died billions of years ago. Let us rest now with these spinning sentinels. Let their patient persistence calm our restless minds. They ask for nothing. They expect nothing. They simply continue. And in their continuation, they teach us about endurance, about resilience, about the possibility of going on even in the most isolated circumstances. Breathe slowly. Imagine the neutron star spinning in the darkness, pulse after pulse, regular as a heartbeat, steady as the passage of time itself. Let the rhythm of its pulsing match the rhythm of your breathing. Slow, steady, patient, enduring. The neutron star has been spinning for billions of years. It will spin for billions more. In the face of such endurance, our own troubles seem temporary, our own isolation finite. We too will continue, because continuation is built into the fabric of existence itself. Rest now. Let the image of the isolated neutron star fill your mind, a point of light in the darkness, spinning steadily, pulsing faithfully, alone but not lonely, isolated but not incomplete, simply existing, simply being, simply continuing on its endless journey through the intergalactic void. From the isolated remnants of dead stars, we turn our gaze to the very edge of possibility itself, to the boundary of everything we can see or ever hope to see, the edge of the observable universe, where light from the most distant objects has only just reached us after traveling for nearly the entire age of the cosmos. Let us drift toward this final frontier, the ultimate isolation, the boundary between the known and the forever unknowable. In the vast silence of space, there is a boundary. Not a physical wall or edge, but a horizon beyond which we cannot see. This is the edge of the observable universe, and it represents the ultimate isolation. Beyond this edge lie regions of space that are moving away from us so quickly due to the expansion of the universe that their light will never reach us. They exist, but they are forever beyond our observation, forever unknown, forever isolated from our portion of reality. The observable universe is like a sphere surrounding us, with Earth at its center. But this is not because we occupy any special position. Any observer anywhere in the universe would see themselves at the center of their own observable universe, with a similar horizon surrounding them at a similar distance. The radius of this sphere is determined by the age of the universe and the speed of light. The universe is approximately 13.8 billion years old. Light travels at a finite speed, and nothing can travel faster. Therefore, the most distant light that could possibly have reached us must have been traveling for approximately 13.8 billion years. However, the edge of the observable universe is not 13.8 billion light-years away. It is much farther, approximately 46 billion light-years distant. This is because the universe has been expanding while the light was traveling toward us. The space through which the light traveled has stretched, and the object that emitted that light has been carried even farther away by the expansion of space itself. Imagine standing at the edge of this observable universe, at the very horizon of what we can see. What lies beyond? More universe, certainly. More galaxies, more stars, more space extending onward. But we can never see it. The expansion of space carries it away from us faster than light can travel. Any light emitted by objects beyond our horizon will never reach us, because the space between us and them is expanding faster than the light can cross it. This is profound isolation. Not the isolation of distance alone, but isolation written into the very fabric of space-time itself. Objects beyond our horizon are not merely far away. They are fundamentally unreachable, fundamentally unknowable. They exist in a portion of reality that is forever separate from ours. In the vast silence of space, at the edge of the observable universe, we encounter the limits of knowledge itself. We cannot observe what lies beyond. We cannot send messages there or receive messages from there. We cannot visit or be visited. There is an absolute boundary between our observable universe and what lies beyond. And yet, the universe beyond our horizon surely exists. It is not that there is nothing there. It is simply that we are separated from it by the expansion of space, isolated not by distance alone, but by the fundamental properties of the cosmos itself. Consider what this means for the possibility of contact with distant civilizations. If there are beings living in galaxies beyond our cosmic horizon, we can never know of their existence, and they can never know of ours. We are isolated from each other absolutely by the structure of space-time itself, by physics that permits no exceptions. This is a deeper form of loneliness than we have encountered so far in our journey. The Buddhi's void is empty, but it is within our observable universe. We can see its boundaries, measure its extent, understand its place in the cosmic web. The rogue planets are isolated, but they exist within our galaxy or neighboring galaxies. We can observe them, study them, understand their nature. The distant galaxies are separated from us by vast stretches of space and time, but their light reaches us, creating a connection across the cosmos. But objects beyond the cosmic horizon are different. They are isolated not by emptiness or distance or time, but by the fundamental expansion of the universe itself. They exist, but they are forever beyond our reach, forever unknowable. This is the ultimate loneliness, to exist in a part of reality that can never interact with ours, never be known by us, never connect with us in any way. And our own region of space is similarly isolated from them. To any beings living beyond our cosmic horizon, we are the ones who are unreachable, unknowable, forever beyond their ability to observe or contact. We are ghosts to each other, existing in the same universe but separated by an impassable barrier. The edge of the observable universe is not static. It is constantly changing, growing as more light from distant objects has time to reach us. With each passing moment, regions of space that were previously beyond our horizon come into view. We see farther into the universe simply by waiting, by giving light more time to travel. But this expansion of our observable universe cannot continue forever. The universe is not only expanding, but the expansion is accelerating, driven by a mysterious force called dark energy. As space expands faster and faster, distant objects are carried away more and more quickly. Eventually, the expansion will become so rapid that even objects currently within our observable universe will be carried beyond our horizon, disappearing from our view forever. In the distant future, trillions of years from now, any observers who exist will see a very different universe than we do. The expansion of space will have carried away most of the galaxies we can currently see. The cosmic web will have been torn apart by dark energy, each galaxy cluster isolated in its own bubble of space, surrounded by darkness. Future astronomers will see only their local group of gravitationally bound galaxies, with nothing beyond but emptiness. They may not even know that the larger universe exists. If they try to develop cosmology, to understand the history and structure of the universe, they will not have the evidence we have. They will not see the distant galaxies, the cosmic microwave background radiation, the large-scale structure of the cosmic web. These things will have been carried beyond their horizon by the expansion of space. The universe will have hidden its own history, isolating each galaxy cluster in its own sphere of awareness. This is a sobering thought. We are fortunate to live in an era when the universe is still young enough and the expansion slow enough that we can see far and wide. We can observe the cosmic web, study the distant galaxies, analyze the cosmic microwave background radiation, and piece together the history of the universe from the Big Bang to the present day. Future civilizations may not have this opportunity. The universe will have become more isolated, more mysterious, more unknowable, as the accelerating expansion carries away the evidence of its own nature. In the vast silence of space, at the edge of the observable universe, we confront not only the limits of what we can see, but also the limits of what we can know. There are questions we cannot answer because the information needed to answer them lies beyond our horizon, forever inaccessible. What is the full extent of the universe? We do not know. Is it finite or infinite? We cannot say. Does it have an edge, or does it curve back on itself? Or does it extend forever? The evidence we have is limited to our observable portion, and from that, we cannot extrapolate to the whole with certainty. Are there other regions of space with different properties, different laws of physics, different values for the fundamental constants? Perhaps. But if they exist beyond our horizon, we cannot observe them or test hypotheses about them. They remain forever in the realm of speculation. This uncertainty, this fundamental unknowability, is humbling. We are intelligent beings, capable of remarkable understanding, able to probe the nature of reality with mathematics and observation. And yet, we are also limited. There are boundaries to our knowledge, horizons beyond which we cannot see, questions we cannot answer, not because we lack the intelligence or technology, but because the universe itself has placed limits on what can be known from any given vantage point. Let us rest with this uncertainty. Let us accept that there are things we cannot know, places we cannot see, portions of reality forever separate from our own. This is not a failure. It is simply the nature of existence in an expanding universe. We are each limited to our own horizon, our own sphere of possible observation, and we must make peace with the fact that much of reality lies beyond that sphere. In the vast silence of space, imagine yourself at the very edge of the observable universe. You have traveled in imagination as far as it is possible to go. You stand at the boundary of the knowable, looking outward into what? Not emptiness, not darkness exactly, but something more profound. A region that exists but cannot be seen. A portion of reality that is, in every meaningful sense, separate from your own. There is a strange peace in reaching this ultimate boundary. You have come as far as you can go. There is nowhere farther to travel. You stand at the edge of everything, and beyond lies the forever unknowable. And in that unknowability, there is a kind of freedom. You are released from the burden of needing to understand everything, of needing to see everything, of needing to know everything. Some things will remain mysteries. Some questions will remain unanswered. Some regions of space will remain forever beyond your reach, and that is acceptable. That is the way of things. The universe is larger than any observer's ability to observe it. Reality extends beyond anyone's ability to comprehend it fully. And in accepting this, we find peace. The edge of the observable universe is a horizon of light. Beyond it, there is more universe, but the light from that region cannot reach us. We are separated by the expansion of space itself, by the fundamental structure of reality. And this separation is absolute, unbreakable, permanent. In our own lives, we sometimes encounter similar boundaries. Things we cannot change, people we cannot reach, pasts we cannot revisit, futures we cannot predict. These are our personal horizons, the edges of our own observable lives. Beyond them lies uncertainty, unknowability, things we must accept we cannot control or understand or influence. The cosmic horizon teaches us to make peace with these limitations, to accept that there are boundaries to what we can know and do, to find contentment within our own sphere of possibility, even while acknowledging that much lies beyond it. As we stand here at the edge of everything, let us take a moment to appreciate what we can see. The vast, observable universe stretching behind us, filled with galaxies and stars, with structures and patterns, with beauty and complexity. We are fortunate to see as much as we do, to understand as much as we do, to have traveled even this far in our cosmic journey. The edge of the observable universe reminds us to be grateful for our vantage point, limited though it is. We see farther than any human saw 100 years ago. We understand more about the cosmos than any generation before us. We have traveled, in imagination and through our instruments, to the very edges of the knowable. And that is a remarkable achievement. Rest now at this ultimate boundary. Let the edge of the observable universe mark the farthest reach of your journey through lonely space. You have traveled from voids to rogue planets, from distant galaxies to cosmic voids, from isolated neutron stars to the final horizon. You have witnessed the loneliest places in space, the most isolated objects and regions in the cosmos. And in witnessing them, perhaps you have come to understand something about loneliness itself. That it is not always sad. That there can be beauty in solitude, peace in isolation, wisdom in accepting the limits of connection and knowledge. That being alone is not the same as being incomplete. That existence itself is enough, whether witnessed or unwitnessed, whether connected or isolated, whether understood or mysterious. The universe continues beyond the horizon, and you continue within it, limited but real, isolated in your particular bubble of observable space, yet connected to it all through the fundamental laws and substances that make up everything. Rest here at the edge. Let the horizon be a comfort rather than a boundary. Let it remind you that some mysteries are meant to remain mysteries, that some distances are meant to remain uncrossed, that some forms of isolation are not problems to be solved, but simply aspects of existence to be accepted. In the vast silence of space, at the edge of the observable universe, time and space merge into a single concept. Here, to look outward is to look backward in time. The light we see from objects near the cosmic horizon left them billions of years ago, when the universe was young. We see not what these regions are like now, but what they were like then. The present state of these distant regions is forever unknowable to us, hidden not just by distance, but by time itself. This is another form of isolation. We are separated from these distant regions not only by space, but by billions of years of time. What we observe is ancient history, a snapshot of conditions that existed long ago and have surely changed beyond recognition. The galaxies we see at the edge of our observable universe, appearing as they did when the universe was young, have evolved in ways we can never witness. They exist now in some form, but that current form is beyond our ability to observe. We are always seeing the past when we look at distant objects. The light from our sun takes 8 minutes to reach Earth, so we see the sun as it was 8 minutes ago. The light from the nearest star beyond our sun takes over 4 years to reach us. The light from the center of our galaxy takes 26,000 years. And the light from the edge of the observable universe takes nearly 14 billion years. We live in a universe where the present moment is local. We can know what is happening here and now in our immediate vicinity. But everything else we observe is history, light that left its source in the past and is only now arriving to tell us what things were like then. We are surrounded by history, living in a present moment that is isolated in time, even as we observe the distant past. This is a profound form of loneliness. We cannot know what is happening right now in distant places. We cannot communicate in real time with anything beyond our immediate vicinity. We are isolated in our present moment, surrounded by images of the past, forever unable to see the current state of the distant universe. And yet, this isolation binds us to history. We are connected to the past through the light that reaches us. We can study what things were like billions of years ago by observing distant objects. We are witnesses to the history of the universe itself, observers of conditions that existed long before Earth formed, long before our sun was born, long before anything we would recognize as familiar came into existence. At the edge of the observable universe, we see the universe as it was approximately 13 billion years ago, just a few 100 million years after the Big Bang. We see the first galaxies forming, the first structures emerging from the relatively smooth distribution of matter that characterized the early universe. We are witnesses to cosmic dawn, to the beginning of the universe as we know it. And beyond that edge, beyond what we can see, lies a universe we can never observe in its current state. The regions beyond our horizon exist now, in the present moment, but we can never see them as they are now. If we could somehow travel faster than light, which physics tells us is impossible, and reach those distant regions, we would find them radically changed from how they appeared in the ancient light we see. But we cannot make that journey, and so they remain isolated from us, both in space and in time. Let this knowledge settle over you like a soft blanket. You are isolated in your present moment, surrounded by the past, unable to see the current state of anything distant. And this is not a flaw or a limitation to be overcome. It is simply the nature of existence in a universe where light travels at a finite speed and space is vast. It is the way things are, and there is peace in accepting it. In the vast silence of space, the edge of the observable universe represents the ultimate loneliness. Beyond it lie regions forever unknowable, forever unreachable, forever isolated from our portion of reality. And yet, these regions exist. They are real. They contain galaxies and stars, and perhaps planets and life. They are part of the same universe, governed by the same laws of physics, made of the same fundamental substances. But they are separated from us by an impassable barrier, isolated by the expansion of space itself. This reminds us that loneliness and connection can coexist. We are isolated from these distant regions, unable to observe or contact them. Yet we are also connected to them through the shared nature of reality itself. We are all part of the same universe, all expressions of the same fundamental laws and forces. The isolation is real, but so is the connection. Both truths can exist simultaneously. As we rest here at the edge of everything, let us reflect on the journey we have taken. We have traveled through the loneliest places in space, from vast voids to isolated stars, from ancient galaxies to the final horizon. We have witnessed solitude at every scale, from individual rogue planets to the largest structures in the universe. We have seen that the cosmos is filled with lonely places, isolated objects, regions separated by distances and times that defy comprehension. And yet, we have also seen that this loneliness has its own beauty, that isolation can be peaceful, that solitude can be profound, that being alone is not the same as being lost or incomplete. The universe teaches us that existence continues regardless of connection or observation, that things can be real and valuable even if they are unseen and unknown, that there is dignity in simply continuing, simply being, simply existing in whatever circumstances we find ourselves. The edge of the observable universe is where our outward journey must end. We can go no farther. We have reached the limit of the possible, the boundary of the knowable. Everything beyond is speculation, imagination, mathematical extrapolation. But we cannot see it. We cannot verify it. We must accept that there are limits to our knowledge, horizons beyond which we cannot peer, mysteries we cannot solve. And in accepting this, we find a kind of completeness. We have seen all that can be seen. We have traveled as far as it is possible to travel. We have reached the edge, and we have found that the edge is not an ending, but a different kind of beginning. The beginning of acceptance, the beginning of peace with unknowing, the beginning of understanding that some questions have no answers, some journeys have no destinations, some forms of isolation are absolute and unchangeable. Rest here now, at the edge of everything. Let the vast silence of space wash over you one last time. You have journeyed to the loneliest places in the universe, and you have found that loneliness itself is not to be feared. It is simply another state of being, another aspect of existence, another way that matter and energy arrange themselves across space and time. The universe is vast. It is old. It contains multitudes. And most of it is empty, silent, isolated. But it continues nonetheless. It expands. It evolves. It creates new structures and dissolves old ones. It exists without needing purpose or meaning or witness. It simply is. And in its simple being, it offers us a model for our own existence. We too can simply be. We too can continue without needing constant connection or meaning or purpose. We too can exist in our own right, complete in ourselves, at peace with our isolation, even as we remain part of the larger whole. We are like the rogue planets, wandering but not lost, like the isolated neutron stars spinning faithfully in darkness, like the distant galaxies separated by space and time but still connected through the shared substance of reality. As you rest here at the edge of the observable universe, let your breathing slow to match the rhythm of cosmic time. Slow and deep, like the expansion of space itself. Patient and steady, like the journey of light across billions of years. Eternal and unchanging, like the fundamental laws that govern all existence. You are part of this vastness. You are made of atoms forged in ancient stars. You are animated by energy that has been flowing through the universe since the Big Bang. You are a temporary arrangement of matter and consciousness, existing for a brief time before returning to the elements. And in that temporary existence, you have the privilege of witnessing, of knowing, of understanding something about the cosmos that contains you. This is not nothing. This is remarkable. That the universe has evolved to the point where part of it can observe and understand the rest. That consciousness has emerged from matter. That beings like us can stand, at least in imagination, at the edge of everything and comprehend, even dimly, what we are seeing. Rest in this knowledge. Rest in the vastness. Rest in the silence. Rest in the profound peace of the edge of everything, where all journeys end and all mysteries deepen into acceptance. The edge of the observable universe waits for us, patient and unchanging. It has been there since the first light began its journey toward us, and it will be there long after we are gone. It is a constant in an ever-changing cosmos, a boundary that reminds us of our limits and our place in the grand scheme of existence. And now, having reached this ultimate edge, having witnessed the loneliest places in space, it is time to begin our journey home. Time to return from the edge of everything to the familiar warmth of our own small world. Time to travel back through the vast distances we have crossed, carrying with us the peace and wisdom we have found in the lonely places. Let us turn now from the edge of the observable universe and begin our slow drift homeward, back through the cosmic voids, past the wandering neutron stars, through the intergalactic darkness, toward something familiar, toward light and warmth, toward the place we began. Let us journey home, to Earth, to the small blue world that waits for us in the vastness, a place of connection and life in a universe of isolation and silence. In the vast silence of space, we turn our gaze homeward. We have traveled to the loneliest places in the universe, witnessed isolation at every scale, confronted the profound solitude of cosmic voids and distant horizons. And now, we return. We drift back through the darkness, retracing our path, moving from the edge of everything toward the small, warm world we call home. As we journey back, we carry with us all that we have learned, the patience of the cosmic voids, the resilience of the rogue planets, the endurance of the isolated neutron stars, the mystery of the distant galaxies, the acceptance we found at the edge of the observable universe. All of these lessons travel with us as we make our way home through the cosmic darkness. The journey home is different from the journey outward. When we traveled to the lonely places, we moved away from the familiar, toward the unknown. Now we move toward comfort, toward warmth, toward the world that made us. There is a sweetness in this return, a gentle anticipation of arrival, even though the journey takes place entirely in imagination. As we drift through the intergalactic void, we begin to see the familiar shape of our local supercluster emerging in the distance. The galaxies that are our neighbors, separated from us by millions of light years, but still part of our cosmic neighborhood. The vast emptiness begins to give way to structure. We see the filaments of the cosmic web, the galaxies strung along them like beads on invisible strings. We are returning to a place where matter has gathered, where stars shine, where worlds orbit in the darkness. Closer now, we see our own galaxy, the Milky Way. From this distance, it is a spiral of light, hundreds of billions of stars arranged in graceful arms that curve through space. Somewhere in one of those arms, 2/3 of the way out from the center, lies our Sun and the small system of planets that orbit it. We cannot see it yet from this distance, but we know it is there, waiting for us. The Milky Way is home to hundreds of billions of stars, and perhaps even more planets. It is a vast structure, 100,000 light-years across, ancient and complex. And yet, compared to the voids we have crossed and the distances we have traveled, it seems almost cozy. It is our galaxy, our home in the larger universe, the collection of stars to which our Sun belongs. We drift closer, descending through the halo of dark matter that surrounds the galaxy, past ancient globular clusters that orbit far from the galactic plane, down into the disk where most of the stars reside. We pass through regions of gas and dust, the raw material from which new stars are being born. We see young stars, blazing hot and blue, and old stars, cool and red, all moving in their orbits around the galactic center. And then, there it is, our Sun. An ordinary yellow star, neither particularly large nor particularly small, neither especially hot nor especially cool. average in almost every way. And yet to us, it is special. It is our star, the source of light and warmth that makes life possible on our world. It has been shining steadily for nearly 5 billion years, and it will continue to shine for 5 billion more before it begins to die. Around the Sun orbit 8 planets, along with countless smaller bodies, asteroids, comets, dwarf planets, moons. This is the solar system, our cosmic neighborhood, the small corner of the galaxy we know best. We have sent our spacecraft to explore much of it, landing on some worlds, flying by others, studying them from afar. It is the first region beyond Earth that we have begun to explore in person, not just through telescopes, but through actual physical presence. And there, third planet from the Sun, is Earth. Small and blue, covered mostly by oceans, with continents of brown and green swirled with white clouds. From space, it appears fragile, a delicate oasis in the cosmic darkness. But it is home. It is where we belong, where life has flourished for billions of years, where complexity and beauty have emerged from simple chemical reactions. As we approach Earth, we see it growing larger. We can make out features now, the shapes of continents, the patterns of clouds, the ice caps at the poles. The thin blue line of atmosphere that surrounds the planet, protecting life from the harshness of space. Everything we know, everyone we love, every human who has ever lived, all of it contained on this small world. In the vast silence of space, Earth seems impossibly precious. After journeying through the lonely places, after witnessing the emptiness and isolation that characterize most of the universe, the sight of this living world is almost overwhelming. Here is connection. Here is warmth. Here is the opposite of the loneliness we have witnessed. On Earth, we are not alone. We are surrounded by life, by billions of other humans, by countless other species of plants and animals and microorganisms. We are part of a vast web of connection, each of us linked to others through family, friendship, community, and the shared experience of living on this small world together. The loneliness of space has brought us to a deeper appreciation of this connection. We see now how rare it is, how precious. In all our journey through the cosmos, through voids and between galaxies, past isolated stars and to the edge of the observable universe, we found mostly silence and emptiness. Earth is different. Earth is alive. Earth is connected, and we are part of that connection. As we descend through the atmosphere, we feel the gentleness of return. The transition from the vacuum of space to the breathable air that sustains us, the warmth increasing as we drop lower, away from the cold of space toward the comfortable temperatures at Earth's surface. The sense of coming home, of returning to where we belong. We can rest now. Our journey through the loneliest places in space is complete. We have witnessed isolation at every scale, from vast cosmic voids to individual wandering stars. We have confronted the profound solitude of the universe, the distances and silences that characterize most of existence, and we have learned from it. We have learned that loneliness has its own beauty, that isolation can be peaceful, that solitude can teach us patience and acceptance. We have learned that existence continues regardless of connection, that being alone is not the same as being incomplete. We have learned to accept the limits of knowledge and connection, to make peace with horizons beyond which we cannot see. And now, returning to Earth, we bring these lessons home with us. We understand our place in the cosmos a little better. We are part of something vast and ancient, participants in a universe billions of years old and billions of light years across. And yet, we also have this small, warm world, this place of connection and life, this home. Rest now. Let your journey through the lonely places dissolve like morning mist. You have traveled far in imagination, witnessed wonders and mysteries, contemplated isolation and connection, and now you return to yourself, to your body resting comfortably, to your breath moving slowly in and out, to the present moment in this place where you are safe and at peace. The universe continues its vast, slow dance. The voids remain empty. The rogue planets drift onward. The distant galaxies shine with ancient light. The edge of the observable universe marks the boundary of the knowable, and all of it continues, patient and eternal, while you rest here, safe and warm, on your small blue world. You are part of the universe, and the universe is part of you. You are made of star stuff, atoms forged in ancient supernovae, organized by billions of years of evolution into the remarkable being you are. You are the universe experiencing itself, a small part of the cosmos that has become conscious and can look back at the whole with wonder and understanding. And so, we rest among the stars, not physically, but in spirit and imagination. We have journeyed to the loneliest places and found peace there. We have returned home and found gratitude here. We carry both with us now, the peace of cosmic solitude and the warmth of earthly connection. Both are true. Both are beautiful. Both are part of the pattern of existence. Sleep now, if sleep will come, or simply rest in this comfortable place, in this moment, in this small corner of the vast universe. You have traveled far tonight. You have seen wonders. You have learned lessons. And now you rest, cradled by the small blue world that is your home, surrounded by the vastness of space, part of everything, connected to all. The loneliest places in space remain, silent and patient, waiting for anyone who wishes to contemplate them. They have taught us their lessons. They have shared their peace. And now they release us, allowing us to return to our lives enriched by what we have witnessed, calmed by what we have learned, at peace with both connection and solitude, both knowing and mystery, both our smallness and our significance. Rest now among the stars. You belong here, in this universe, in this moment, exactly as you are. And in that belonging, find peace, find comfort, find rest. And so, our journey ends where all journeys must end, at home, at rest, at peace. Good night.